Your grocery store is about to look like a war zone. Stock up now or regret it later. Listen up, because I'm about to say something that most people aren't ready to hear. Your grocery store shelves are going to be empty soon, way sooner than you think. If you thought the price hikes in 2024 were bad, brace yourself, because 2025 is about to hit like a sledgehammer to the wallet. We've uncovered something truly terrifying. Over 140 essential grocery staples are at risk of vanishing completely before March 1st. Some items have already dropped by 80% in stock levels, and others are being rationed without you even realizing it. That's right. Your favorite grocery store isn't just out of things at random. They are strategically limiting what you can buy to avoid mass panic. But here's the real kicker. If you think you're safe just because you stocked up on the basics, you are dead wrong. The supply chain is crumbling faster than officials will admit, and we're seeing warning signs that could mean full-scale food shortages within weeks. Certain grocery items, meat, dairy, rice, and even canned goods, are at risk of being wiped out completely. Think I'm exaggerating? Think again. We've analyzed real-time data from grocery inventories across the country, and what we found is so alarming that it's practically criminal that nobody is talking about it. Some of the biggest brands are pulling products, shrinking packaging, and hiking prices in ways that should be illegal. And here's the most dangerous part. The public has no idea how bad it really is, but when they do, it's going to be pandemonium. That's why you need to act now. In this video, I'm breaking down the 8 critical grocery products that are disappearing the fastest. And if you don't stockpile them before March 1st, 2025, you might not see them again for a very long time. Do not wait. By the time the rest of the world catches on, it will be too late. Number 8, canned tuna is about to sink. Get it while you can. If you think canned tuna will always be a cheap and easy protein source, think again. It's disappearing faster than you can say seafood shortage, and if you're not already stocking up, you're about to regret it big time. Let's break it down. First, global fish stocks are collapsing at an alarming rate. The latest data from the Food and Agriculture Organization reveals that over 33% of the world's fish populations are being overfished beyond sustainable levels, and tuna is leading the charge. Add to that the devastating impact of El Niño, which has completely disrupted migration patterns. This isn't just a minor hiccup. It's a full-scale crisis. The Pacific Ocean's yellowfin and skipjack tuna stocks have declined by 47%. Meaning the tuna industry is struggling to keep up with demand. But hold on, it's not just a fish problem. The factories that process canned tuna are getting hammered by supply chain nightmares. The Philippines, Thailand, and Indonesia, where the bulk of canned tuna comes from, have seen a 60% increase in production costs due to labor shortages, rising fuel prices, and packaging supply chain disasters. Speaking of packaging, aluminum costs have skyrocketed by 85% since last year, meaning those trusty little cans aren't as easy to produce anymore. So what's happening in grocery stores? Well, brands like StarKist and Bumblebee have already begun cutting production, and some retailers are quietly reducing inventory. Walmart, Target, and Kroger have reported that their canned tuna stock levels are down by 38% compared to last year, and those numbers are getting worse every single week. If you've noticed fewer flavors or sizes available, that's not your imagination, it's an early warning sign. What's the play here? First, buy in bulk now. Canned tuna has a shelf life of 3 to 5 years, so it's one of the smartest proteins to stockpile. Second, go for larger cans. They tend to be a better deal per ounce and are usually the last to disappear. Third, don't ignore alternative brands. Everyone's snatching up the name brands, but smaller, regional brands are still available. Just double-check the ingredients to make sure you're getting real tuna and not some mystery fish blend. Trust me, when March rolls around and canned tuna is selling at twice the price, or worse, not at all, you'll be thanking yourself for thinking ahead. Number 7, cooking oil is facing a crisis like never before. Brace yourselves, because cooking oil is about to become the next grocery store casualty, and the numbers behind this disaster will make your head spin. If you've noticed prices creeping up over the last few months, that was just the warning shot. What's coming next? A full-scale shortage that's going to make your usual bottle of vegetable oil a luxury item. First, global palm oil production has plummeted by 25% since last summer, and that's a massive deal because palm oil is in everything, from vegetable oil blends to margarine to processed foods. Why the drop? Indonesia and Malaysia, which supply nearly 85% of the world's palm oil, have been hit with record-breaking floods and extreme heat. The result? Crops destroyed, supply chains wrecked, and prices skyrocketing. Now let's talk about sunflower oil. Ukraine, the world's top sunflower oil exporter, is still dealing with the aftermath of war-related disruptions, with production dropping by 42% since last year. That means less sunflower oil is making it to grocery shelves, and the ripple effect is brutal. Everyone is scrambling for alternatives like canola and soybean oil, pushing their prices up by nearly 70% in just a few months. The U.S. isn't immune either. The Midwest soybean harvest took a massive hit due to drought conditions, leaving soybean oil supplies at their lowest levels in over a decade. The USDA is already warning that refined soybean oil prices could surge by another 50% by spring, and some stores have already started placing purchase limits on cooking oils. Yep, the same way they did with baby formula and toilet paper in the past. So, what's your move? Stockpile cooking oil now. A gallon of vegetable or olive oil can last 1 to 2 years if stored properly. Go for glass bottles when possible. They protect the oil from light and extend shelf life. Also, look for alternative oils like avocado or coconut oil, which have higher smoke points and longer shelf lives. If you cook a lot, consider buying a bulk-size container to ride out the storm. Because trust me, when the only oil left on shelves is priced like premium whiskey, you'll be glad you stocked up ahead of time. Number 6, rice shortages are already here. You might want to sit down for this one because rice, one of the cheapest, most essential pantry staples, is about to be in dangerously short supply. And I'm not talking about some random specialty varieties. I mean the basics. White rice, brown rice, jasmine rice, basmati rice, the stuff you rely on for bulk meals and long-term storage. The numbers are jaw-dropping. The world's rice supply is expected to shrink by 8.7 million tons this year. That's the biggest shortage the market has seen in over 20 years. India, which supplies over 40% of the world's rice exports, has already imposed export bans to protect its own population from skyrocketing food prices. That means less rice for the global market, more price spikes, and a feeding frenzy at grocery stores. Let's talk about California's rice crisis. Farmers there are dealing with crippling water restrictions, leading to a 35% drop in production for high-demand varieties like sushi rice and short-grain rice. Meanwhile, Thailand and Vietnam, the other two biggest rice exporters, are struggling with extreme droughts, which means even less supply. Here's the brutal reality. Rice prices have already surged by 50% in the past 6 months, and industry experts are warning that they could double again before summer. And it's not just about price hikes. Grocery store inventories are already thinning out. If you've noticed fewer bulk rice options or higher prices at warehouse stores like Costco and Sam's Club, that's because wholesale buyers are already hoarding supplies before things get worse. So, what should you do? Stock up on rice ASAP. Buy in bulk if you can. A 25-pound bag of rice can last over 10 years if stored properly in a cool, dry place. Use airtight containers to keep moisture and pests out. And if you want long-term security, consider vacuum sealing smaller portions. If you rely on rice for your meal planning, now is the time to buy before prices get even crazier. By the time March rolls around, don't be surprised if you're seeing rationing signs on rice at major retailers. The world's top rice-producing nations cannot keep up with demand, and when the shortages fully hit, it's going to be a disaster for grocery budgets everywhere. Number 5, pasta is about to disappear. All right, pasta lovers, this one's going to hurt. Your go-to quick, cheap, and filling meal option is about to vanish from grocery shelves, and if you're not preparing now, you're going to be kicking yourself later. You might think it's just pasta, they'll make more. Wrong. This is the biggest pasta crisis we've seen in decades, and it's only getting worse. Durum wheat, the special wheat that makes pasta firm and chewy, is in critically low supply. The U.S. Department of Agriculture just confirmed that durum wheat production in North America dropped by a catastrophic 50% in 2024, thanks to brutal droughts in the U.S. and Canada, where most of our supply comes from. And it's not just North America. Europe's durum harvest is at a 23-year low, meaning Italy, the heart of pasta production, is struggling to produce enough even for itself. That means international demand is skyrocketing while supplies dwindle. But hold on, it's not just about wheat. Pasta production plants are in chaos. Italy's largest pasta factories like Barilla are facing shutdowns due to soaring energy costs. Processing wheat into pasta is energy-intensive, and with Europe's energy crisis driving up electricity costs by over 300%, many producers just can't afford to keep running at full capacity. That's why pasta shortages are already creeping into stores. Inventory is down by 41% compared to this time last year. And don't think switching to store brands will save you. Many generic pasta brands are made in the same factories as premium brands like Barilla, De Cecco, and Ronzoni. So when one goes down, they all do. Here's your move: stockpile pasta now. It has a shelf life of 2 to 3 years, so grabbing extra won't hurt. And don't just grab spaghetti. Varieties like penne and rigatoni tend to sell out last, so diversify your stock. Want a backup plan? Consider egg noodles. They're made with different ingredients and haven't been hit as hard yet. Either way, grab your pasta before it becomes a rare commodity, because once it's gone, it's not coming back anytime soon. Number 4, sugar prices are about to explode. Sweet tooth or not, you need to hear this. Sugar is vanishing and prices are about to go through the roof. If you think this is just another minor grocery price hike, let me stop you right there. This is an industry-wide disaster, and it's going to affect everything from your morning coffee to the bread you buy. The world's sugar supply is in absolute freefall. According to the latest data, sugar production worldwide is down 15%, thanks to devastating harvest failures in Brazil, India, and Thailand, the top 3 sugar-producing countries. Brazil, which supplies nearly 40% of the world's sugar exports, has been hit with a mix of flooding and extreme drought, the worst in decades. Their sugarcane crops, down by nearly 30%. India, another sugar giant, just banned sugar exports for the first time in history because they can't even produce enough for their own people. And Thailand? They're experiencing the worst sugarcane harvest in 17 years, slashing their exports by a jaw-dropping 50%. But wait, there's more. The U.S. is already rationing sugar imports thanks to strict trade policies and shipping nightmares. That's why sugar prices are up 87% since last year, and climbing fast. If you've noticed that bakeries and food manufacturers are quietly shrinking portions, that's not your imagination. It's the first sign of an industry trying to stretch out supplies. Chocolate, sodas, baked goods, cereals, anything with sugar is about to get more expensive or disappear altogether. What's your move? Stock up on sugar now. Granulated sugar has an indefinite shelf life if stored properly, making it one of the smartest food items to hoard. Brown sugar? Freeze it. It lasts for years. Honey, it never spoils. If you bake, grab an extra bag or 2 now, because by the time March hits, don't be surprised if sugar is twice the price or being rationed like it was during World War II. Number 3, flour is running out and it's about to get ugly. Listen up, because this isn't just about a few loaves of bread. This is a full-scale wheat crisis that's going to send shockwaves through the entire food system. You think rising grocery prices are bad now? Just wait. Flour shortages are about to turn everyday staples into luxury items. Here's the reality. Global wheat production is collapsing. The USDA just slashed its forecast for 2025 wheat output, warning that U.S. reserves are down by 34%, the lowest since the Dust Bowl era. What's causing this? Extreme droughts in Kansas, Nebraska, and the Dakotas, America's wheat belt, have led to failed crops. Farmers are reporting entire fields of wheat stunted, producing barely 30% of their usual yield. And it's not just the U.S. Canada's wheat exports are down 40% due to unrelenting dry conditions, while Russia and Ukraine, which supply nearly 30% of the world's wheat, are in chaos due to ongoing geopolitical turmoil. Translation: there is simply not enough wheat to go around. The numbers are horrifying. Wheat prices have surged 98% since last year, and the cost of flour has jumped by over 65% in just 6 months. Major brands like King Arthur and Gold Medal have already issued warnings, saying supply chain issues could lead to higher prices and product shortages by March. Meanwhile, bulk flour supplies at Costco, Sam's Club, and restaurant wholesalers are getting wiped out, with inventory levels dropping by nearly 50% since December. Here's what you need to do. Stockpile flour now, before it's too late. A 25-pound bag of all-purpose flour, properly stored, can last up to 2 years. If you bake, grab extra bread flour, whole wheat, and self-rising flour, because variety shortages are already happening. Consider investing in a grain mill and bulk wheat berries, which store for decades and can be ground into fresh flour when needed. If you wait until March, you could be paying double or triple for a basic staple that's been in every pantry for generations. Number 2, dairy products are on the brink of disaster. Expect empty shelves soon. If you love milk, butter, or cheese, prepare yourself. Dairy is about to become one of the hardest-hit grocery categories, and it's going to send shockwaves through your breakfast, baking, and meal plans. First, let's talk about milk production. The U.S. dairy industry is in crisis mode, with national milk output dropping by nearly 25% due to feed shortages, labor issues, and extreme weather. Dairy farmers in California and Wisconsin, 2 of America's biggest milk-producing states, are struggling with feed costs that have skyrocketed by 60% thanks to last year's corn and soybean crop failures. If cows don't eat, they don't produce milk. It's that simple. Meanwhile, a brutal winter in the Midwest has led to lower milk yields, with some farms seeing production cuts of nearly 40%. Now, here's where it gets worse. Butter and cheese stocks are plummeting. Butter prices have already jumped by 72%, and industry insiders warn that major brands like Land O'Lakes are cutting back production because raw milk supplies are running dangerously low. Cheese is facing an even bigger crisis, especially cheddar, mozzarella, and cream cheese, because they require even more milk to produce. Wholesale cheese prices have surged by 85% since November, and some smaller dairy brands are already limiting shipments to grocery stores. The trickle-down effect? Everything that uses dairy is about to get a lot more expensive. Ice cream, yogurt, cream, sour cream, all of it is at risk. If you think plant-based alternatives will save you, think again. Oat milk and almond milk are also facing supply chain disruptions, so expect those prices to rise too. So what's the move? Stockpile butter and cheese now. Butter freezes incredibly well and lasts for up to a year in the freezer. Grab extra while you can. Hard cheeses like cheddar and Parmesan can be vacuum sealed and stored for months, and even milk can be frozen if you pour out a little to allow for expansion. If you're into powdered milk, grab it now before prices skyrocket. This dairy crisis isn't a temporary issue. It's expected to last well into 2026, and those who prepare now will be the ones who aren't paying $12 for a stick of butter in a few months. Number 1. Meat. The biggest food crisis we've ever seen is happening now. This is it, the most critical grocery item you need to stockpile before March 1st, 2025, because meat shortages are about to hit levels we've never seen before. I'm talking beef, pork, chicken. Everything is in crisis mode, and prices are about to explode to historic highs. Let's talk beef first. The U.S. cattle herd is at its lowest level in over 73 years. Yes, you read that right. We haven't seen cattle numbers this low since 1951. Why? Because ranchers have been forced to cull their herds at an alarming rate due to skyrocketing feed costs, water shortages, and brutal droughts across Texas, Nebraska, and Oklahoma. The result? Less beef entering the market, and prices soaring out of control. Right now, the price of ground beef is up 45% compared to last year, and steak prices have nearly doubled, and that's just the beginning. Experts predict beef prices will spike another 60% by summer, and at this rate, we could be looking at $10 per pound for cheap cuts. Now, let's talk pork. The pork industry is in shambles, thanks to massive disease outbreaks wiping out pig populations. The latest USDA reports show that U.S. pork production is down 27% compared to last year, and pork prices have already jumped 55% in the last 6 months. If you love bacon, sausage, or ham, you better buy it now, because by spring, pork could be rationed at grocery stores, just like eggs were last year. And finally, chicken. If you thought chicken was safe, think again. Avian flu has wiped out over 100 million birds globally, leading to one of the worst poultry shortages in history. The result? Chicken breast prices are up 68%, and major producers like Tyson are warning that supply issues will continue through 2025. Meanwhile, chicken feed costs have tripled, making it nearly impossible for small poultry farms to survive.